who the favorites were.
KT Rolster.
Can hold us.
Welcome back, guys, to LCK Spring 2019. It was a long break. Tends to happen when Griffin's playing almost every single time. But now we have our final match of the night. Now, oh man, this could be a long one, but KT going to be taking on Gen.G. Last time Gen.G hit the Rift, it was against Gen.G Green Wings, and it was one hell of a long series. KT Rolster coming off a victory against Gen.G also, and wanting to make it, again, a swift 2-0 if they can.
And that's why it's all about streaks today. And you and I have our clothes on, so not that type of streaking, a win streak. And KT and Gen.G need one, Atlas, because it has been some lean times for some very famous orgs. KT versus Gen.G has been some of the most hyped series of the past couple of years. Think about all the gatekeeping from Worlds, of the very extended KT win streak over Samsung Galaxy that hit, I believe, 14-0 in consecutive games. And then that first gatekeeping from Worlds happened in 2016. And the history has been very interesting and very intricate in the last 2 years. And yet, now we're here and we wonder, what does it mean in 2019 when neither of these teams seem like they're close to the top of the table at all?
Exactly. And Gen.G, their last loss that they had against the FLICKR Freaks was a really demoralizing one as well. They're going to feel good after taking down Gen.G, but how good against a team that is 0-5, as you can see as we bring up the standings. This is 8th versus 9th. They can potentially leapfrog a FLICKR Freaks with 2-0 victories, but it is otherwise a really worrying time for both KT and Gen.G, and now those streaks that you're talking about need to start. Who's going to be able to do it, and how are they going to do it as well? And with which players on the rosters as well. We know KT has been experimenting a lot with the bottom side of the map. Kingen as well, playing a full series over Smeb was a first that we haven't seen for KT.
And the winner here also gets the participation medal, because they're the only two teams with one match win, and they've both beaten the 0-5 team. So their wins can be just thrown out. I guess Gen.G lost a game against Gen.G, so your worries extend, but is KT better than Gen.G? Is Gen.G going to be able to strap together a second victory? This was played in the Kesper Cup, and it was, of course, Gen.G winning in the semi-final in a pretty convincing fashion. How can we separate these two teams? It was 3-1. They played umpty in all 4 games. Kingen came in and seemed a little bit off the boil in that series. So like you say, will there be some roster change today? Even the bot lane kind of been all at sea. So Gen.G and KT, will the real Worlds qualification team please stand up? Because right now, we're not sure.
Yeah, both of these squads, in fact, heading over to Worlds, not finding very much relevance, but that was 2018. This is 2019, and they got to get themselves together still. We're not through the first round robin of spring just yet. Still some answers that can be drawn from some of these teams, but one is going to go home disappointed. Two very storied orgs, only one going to be the victor, and how that victory actually happens is the important part. And we learned that a lot in our previous series of the day, Griffin, smashing SKT. The 2-0 doesn't mean as much as how the 2-0 happens, and I think that that affects the bottom side of the table as much as it does the top.
I feel like I know what KT's wins could look like. I don't know about Gen.G because they kind of stumbled in the dark and beat Jin-Air 2-1, and everyone felt like they didn't come away the richer from that series, whether you were playing in it or the viewers, and now they're here against KT, and maybe they can actually course correct, because they had 2 good weeks in Kesper Cup and then 2 bad weeks to open up the season. Let's see if they get a reintroduction today. No real numbers to talk of. DPM, I don't think, is a very relevant stat here, so the KDAs are very minimal between the two, and 9ths and 8ths for Gen.G and KT is oh so weird.
Well, we're going to try and find some highlights here, and you saw the stats are actually very, very close, and this is what I wanted to talk about live. And his Gragas were super good in the victories that Gen.G saw. As soon as Gragas was available for this guy, he was able to propel Ruler into carry status. And yes, the games did last an incredibly long time. It was pretty standard Gen.G not wanting to actually do anything until they absolutely had to. But when they did, it was largely to do with the fact that this guy's Gragas was mega clean.
And now you wonder, does KT return to what worked for them? Because that was actually awesome dudes in the bot lane from Zenit, who will be playing today, Vladimir and the Victor. Ruler will always take Kai'Sa and say, my moment is later. But can KT Rolster play around with how good BDD was, finally stepping up in that most recent series against Jin-Air? He did look like the franchise player that KT needs him to be. We will roll on to those KT highlights. Ruler in the late game, I think that's what we already know is what the Gen.G victory looks like. For KT, it does feel like they have other threats, but how those threats come together, so far we haven't had 5 players on the same page really at any moment of KT's first 4 best of 3s.
Yeah, it hasn't really been the story, but I did really love the fact that KT were able to engineer themselves a victory in that that first game against Jin-Air with the LeBlanc needing to get ahead because they had narrow win conditions in that team composition, and BDD said, well, they're not narrow enough. I'm still going to be able to hard carry on this champion, and he did, and it looked very, very good from the mid lane. On the bottom side is what we're going to be looking at, though, is Ruler, of course, has the highest kill participation for an AD carry because they only play around Ruler, and they only do anything when it gets to the late game.
And I think the second point is actually way more important than the first, because you said that about Samsung Galaxy and Gen.G, that in Ruler we trust was kind of the win condition, but they've been drafting proactive junglers, they've been drafting comps that can do things in the early game, and just not seeing much action happen. Peanut has been very much in farm mode. Whatever the jungler is that he's playing, he will be playing today, of course. Here's the lineup on the left, you will note. Will be Cuvee back in the starting lineup.
Yep, not going to be Roach.
Those games in the Jin-Air series, and they will prefer Cuvee to start here. He is a name that has stepped up. He has awakened against KT Rolster more often than he is not.
Exactly, and this guy was part of the reason why KT had been gatekept for so long. Because something comes alive in this man, and he has been a real boon for this team at Worlds, but wasn't to be the case in 2018. We'll see what he can do against KT in 2019, already having a decent start at the Kesper Cup.
And I looked at those 9.2 patch notes, and a lot of them not that interesting. Aurelion Soul changes maybe means that at least a ban will be levied at Fly. Will he first round Aurelion Soul? I feel like if you don't take mid in the first round, you just blind ban the Aurelion Soul without seeing it if you're KT Rolster.
Or you pick it, because BDD has been playing a little bit of it in solo queue as well.
He's an Aurelion Soul player. We actually had 2, and that is pretty rare in any competitive game.
I feel like we have the Aurelion Soul players, as Umti's going to be stepping into the roster, guys, so Score is not going to be a part of KT Rolster for today.
Smeb's out too, Kingen in the lineup, so they're going youth-focused.
And this is the crazy part, because we got the rosters, and it says Smeb on my sheet right here. Not going to be the case, though. They're going to be running Kingen, so a very different roster to what we've been seeing. Maybe this top side of the map with a little bit of new talent might help things out for KT. Surprised to see Kingen up there instead of Smeb.
What you can say about it, Gen.G played just a couple of days ago in that really long slog of a series. And now their preparation's going to be different because it's and Kingen on the top side, which changes the complexity of the match. Is Smeb dodging his old foe in Cuve? A fun thing to ruminate on, but...
And is Score dodging his old foe as well? I mean, Peanut has been notably the one to take down the Immortal Score on many an occasion.
Yeah, Peanut had his number after the early days of his career, especially in 2017, 2018. A lot of good moments there. I'm just happy to see a little bit biased there.
Oh, wait, no. Smeb was cosplaying as Kingen, so that's not actually Kingen. As you can see, this is the real truth.
I don't know what's going on. We'll get the confirmation as we roll
forward. Yeah, no, it is
but
definitely Kingen, guys. We've just slightly messed up on our graphic.
Well, we got it written down on our piece of paper, so it seems like some wires were crossed, but we saw Kingen in the roster, so he should be playing, and excited to see play. Again, friend of the English broadcast.
Yeah.
Always fun guy to talk to. Gave him his congratulations. First LCK stage game. Not on Gen.G. This time, finally. He's going to be on KT Rolster, and he had some good moments in the Kesma Cup, especially on the Lee Sin, which is one of those champions that's always eluded the champion pool of Score.
Exactly right, and he walked away from the Kesma Cup with a 30 KDA on that Lee Sin, so not exactly Chovy levels as, okay, here is the entire Gen.G faithful.
No Kevin Chu, but of course many other names. Arnold on the right, another friend of the broadcast. Very nice to see you guys here. They're often here, but they haven't had too much to smile about.
They've had a lot to smile about in the fan department because Gen.G's fan roars have been deafening recently, and I was looking around a little bit earlier and there are a lot of empty seats, but it is well and truly packed out now here in the LOL Park.
We're always on the Gen.G side, it feels like, and they are molten.
So loud.
Like you say, the roster is different than Gen.G expected, and how much of Gen.G's victory against Gen.G, again, kind of a slow crawl, can be mapped onto a game plan to beat KT's roster today? We're going to find out soon. 9.2 debut. Both these teams want to put 9.1 in the dumpster and start anew.
Yep, absolutely. I have a feeling new patch, new teams is going to have to be the mindset here for both of these guys because despite coming off victories against Gen.G, who cares? Honestly, it's a victory against Gen.G and they are well and truly the bottom of the table at the moment. Now is the time to get a real win.
I want one of those. That looks cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
They haven't had a new KT Rolster.
Yeah, I've got the old one, but now I need the new one.
KT Rolster, new jackets, new look, new roster. Results, not the ones you want to talk about.
No.
So it's one thing to look dapper. Peanut, we want to see a increase in his play. Ruler, we want him to dominate as always.
But on the side of KT, we want a bit of a rebirth here because KT haven't really found themselves, and they are our LCK champions of 2018. In summer, our most recent LCK champions, and it's just sad that they haven't been able to find their footing here apart from that game against Gen.G.
Feels like we can't talk about 2017 World Champions or 2018 Summer LCK Champions.
Exactly.
Feels like both those titles kind of have to be real. You at least have to be around the top, 3, 4. But right now it's 8, 9 between KT and Gen.G. So this will be the first, and it feels so cruel to say, but it'll be the first meaningful victory for KT and Gen.G because you can just throw the Gen.G games. Both of them have only beaten Gen.G.
Out the window.
What can happen today? Trace is there, 9.2 heralds, a bit of change, and again, show me a dragon, show me an Aurelian soul, and a dream.
Yep. I actually just want to see some early action. KT have been known for it in the past, just hasn't quite been working out for them so far. They've had some pretty amazing dives here in the LCK, they've had some pretty terrible ones, but at least they're diving, at least they're getting in there. They will be on the red side here as we get into pick and ban. Gen.G on the blue side, first ban going to be the Galio, and first ban on KT's side is the Kai'Sa, so already changing things up a lot.
And you know what that tells me? We're going mages in the bot lane, baby, because Kai'Sa is their way to staying through, and we're going ruler focused on the bans, taking away the Lucian. Another champion who at least has the trading potential early to punish something like a Vladimir. There's the Victor ban, so Gen.G didn't need multiple bans more to know the bad news.
The two bot lane champions that you'd want to take down there, though, have been taken. The Vladimir, the last one that really stands out as the awesome dude of note. And do they take Urgot or do they take Aatrox is the question for me on Gen.G's side, because they have been an Urgot-focused team for a lot of these drafts.
Here's what I say to KT. Take Lee Sin away from Peanut because it's his fallback comfort champion. The Ezreal is open and will be taken over both Aatrox and Urgot. Would KT dare to dream and take both?
They could. We've seen it happen in the past.
The world's meta coming back.
And man, I love this. And Gen.G say, right, you can take the Aatrox, you can take the Urgot, take whatever you want. We just want to get Ruler on a champion he can carry on, and he certainly can do it on the Ezreal.
I think Cuvey's a better Aatrox than Urgot, but I really like the Lee Sin takeaway from Peanut. So let's see their way of thinking through this. King in the roster, they will be locking in Urgot, we'd assume, for top lane, because BDD has been on playmaking, and in the end, they do follow the World's meta of taking both. On jungle Aatrox, but BDD on mid lane Aatrox, probably the more likely one. Maybe that means they can keep Zenith's pick to very late in the draft.
Yeah, exactly right. But he doesn't really need to worry too much about getting a late pick. He could actually go for something more of a Gango flavor in the Draven and try and punish Ruler for picking the Ezreal so early. We'll see what the lane is going to be, though, because something that stands out in every Gen.G game is whether or not Tahm Kench is up, be it Core JJ or Life. But it looks like we're going to be locking in some solo lanes. Or a jungler here as Nocturne going to be taken away for Peanut.
Interesting. Interesting to see Peanut dodge out of the Lee Sin truce between the two. The Vladimir has to be taken now, otherwise you won't get it. So it seems like Zenith will be jumping on Vladimir duty. Smeb, the other kind of notable Vladimir player on the team, and because BDD got a solo kill on Aatrox, you feel like we know solo lanes and AD carry, or Awesome Dude carry, the mage bot lane for Vladimir. Not locked in stone, and you can play around with assignments later. What does this mean for bans, though? Because support champion pool you were alluding to could start getting pretty narrow. It's already trimming down.
Yeah, it's one champion down. I think Tahm Kench Gragas sounds like some pretty good bans up against Life, because his Gragas play was definitely the best, and Gen.G don't have very many wins that they can count. Most of them have been on that Gragas, as we're going to continue down that route. The Alistar taking a hit. Snowflower not going to have the engage options that he loves so much.
Feels like a Braum is going to jump up in priority. Morgana potentially going to be seen in this series because we're seeing so few supports. Small chance, and again, I'll just mention it. There was a time where there was Lissandra support, but I think people realized it wasn't stage ready, so really not thinking that to be the case. And also, Lissandra can kind of deal with Aatrox and Urgot both pretty decently. Not going to be further support bans either. Gragas, like you mentioned, was the one we thought was coming. Chance, because Umti's been playing it in the jungle, that Zenith just picks up Gragas at that pick, and they flex it around jungle and support.
Well, the Ryze ban is an interesting one. They were hovering it, of course, but Ryze Lissandra means a lot of magic damage when your Ezreal generally wants to go heavily magic damage.
So it's because Ryze lanes against both Aatrox and Urgot pretty decently.
Yeah, okay.
So it was just a kind of flexible, we'll work it out later situation. Xin Zhao taken out. The Gragas, yeah, that's the one I'm wondering about here.
Yeah, it's surprising, but wanting to deny Umti one of these picks. Umti can, of course, be going for the Aatrox, so I wouldn't have expected a jungle pick at this point unless KT want to lock down a power pick. That being said, it could be the Gragas, and that could be support or jungle. Everything's still flexing here for KT, and I think that's genius.
That's why I like the Gragas, and again, yes, I kind of am with you that Xin Zhao, because Jax is available, why Xin Zhao ban? You can just take Jax into it and feel fine. The Nocturne is going to be disengaging from the Xin Zhao if you see it, but I guess they don't want to roll over with the Nocturne draft, and that's why they'll have to find something else. Thresh going to be available, and Life's still going to be sticking with the playmaking, which we like to see, is playmaking aggressive play. I've been where Life has been able to fit in the most on Gen.G. Final piece of information is second solo laner and a Cuvey special, and one that KT know oh so well.
Absolutely. Okay, so the cannon is locked in. It's not Smeb that's going to be up against his old phenomenal champion, and Snowflower thinking about the Shen, but where is it going to go?
That'll be support Shen. I think people are picking it up again after Joker brought it back, and Tucson also found a victory on that. Will beat Jungle Gragas from this point forward.
And we've seen Vladimir Shen a lot, actually. It was one of the favorites of Griffin towards the end of 2018 as well.
It is trash in lane.
Oh,
terrible.
Yeah. This is
just
called conceding lane entirely.
Could not be any more rubbish in the 2v2. It's so bad. But man, is it good later. And this is Ezreal and Thresh being kind of just disrespected is a weird word, because it's not like Ezreal Thresh is the god tier duo, but Vladimir and Shen, and the ability to play side lanes, because you know how this one works? They hope that BDD gets even or ahead just solo, and then as the game goes on, he hits the side lane with a Shen-O, and you're like, crap, what do we do about this?
Exactly, and he lasts about forever, approximately, so you can be very, very slow on that Stand United and still meet up with the Aatrox.
You just hunt whichever lane Cuvey goes to, and with a Shen-O, one of those people is going to outduel them. Vladimir beats Kennen in the late game, so if they're equal levels, the game goes on. Vladimir's always had a good matchup there. Urgot duty for Kingen, so not playing the carries he was in Kesper Cup. I like what KT did with the draft here. They were creative, but they're taking a risk against Gen.G out of form. If ever you're going to lock in Vladimir Shen against a ranged AD carry and a Thresh support, when you're out of form, this is the time.
Yeah, and also, as far as blue side drafts are concerned, Gen.G not too focused on flexibility, just going for safety in a lot of these lanes, and I don't think that they've had too much of an issue as far as what's been picked against them. So Cuvée, you know, Kennen pretty good at just laning in general. He'd be okay going up against an Urgot with that one, but as far as the tier list is concerned, I'm looking at Urgot, Aatrox, and Vladimir and wondering how they all got the same game together, let alone on the same team.
We might be looking at the game wondering why Vladimir and Shen even tried to enter lane and fall behind.
Yeah. And we know what Ruler can do, but let's hear from the fans. We are definitely over the Gen.G side as far as
you
where
say that
the English
every game
is.
to confirm. I love it.
Yeah, well, it's my ears are saying that Gen.G have like 4 billion more fans than KT, and I don't think that's exactly correct.
Gen.G and KT coming in with a single match victory against Jin Air, our 10th place team. So finally some separation between the two squads should be achieved today. I'm going to be greedy, Atlas. I want to see a 2-0, and it's not to catch the trains, to actually know conclusively who the better team is between Gen.G and KT, because such meager starts for both, we're still trying to truly understand if either of these can be a late contender come maybe second round robin, or if we're just witnessing potential bottom 4, bottom 5 teams in the LCK.
Yeah, exactly. And what I actually want to see is how this game is going to be played as well. I mean, how much learning have Gen.G and KT done watching a lot of teams flounder? Gen.G, of course, very, very guilty of this. Last week, it's a new week, and theoretically a time where they can make these sort of adjustments.
Cuvé's adjustment here is quite bold. He's actually gone Klepto into Urgot. This is a ranged matchup that I guess he's slightly outranged, but not like Kennen is a 700 range champion or anything, so he's still investment banking. The level 1 is just so annoying to deal with because you can E in and get 2 auto attacks off and fully abuse new Klepto. Cuvé's most famous as an AD Kennen player, and will be very interesting to see if it's just the standard AP Kennen, which would give them a lot of teamfight options and a lot of zones between Paranoia and Lissandra and Kennen for Ezreal to hard carry. We get the information here, same runes we saw recently, so no confirmation, but we're thinking the Kindle Gem, the Klepto, and the first items into AP. We'll get the confirmation later.
Yeah, very standard stuff, and I feel like the AP is going to work very well in this composition as well. I mean, the AoE damage follow-up from the Slicing Maelstrom after the Frozen Tomb means that everyone's going to be slowed down. They're going to be sitting in there for a whole lot longer as, yeah, Zenit's having a really, really bad time on the bottom side of the map, as we would expect in the Vladimir versus Ezreal Thresh lane.
I want to talk about the jungle pathing a little bit. You notice Nocturne was going for a full clear bot side, so it's the reverse of the full clear red side for a red side jungle where you try to get level 3 without going into the river, understanding that it's Nocturne, not looking to skirmish too early. It was actually pretty heads up of Umti.
Wow, Fly is just getting smashed.
But it was pretty heads up of Umti to have a ward on the Raptors, kind of get the confirmation that he was not actually going top side, and thus he was likely to be doing a Raptors clear, and just take the bot side scuttle, because usually you take your 3 cams and then you check the scuttle to see if it's up.
Yep.
Taking the scuttle there means the chances of the Nocturne getting a scuttle goes down, or at worst, it stops him from just min-maxing his farm, and he has to go straight to the enemy scuttle top side.
Yeah, he's going to do that. As Snowflower is taking a bit of harassment here as the Infernal chains the flash forward, the Ignite. Is it going to be enough as Fly's ticking down? One more and that's it. The solo kill, you asked for it. It happens at 3 minutes 20.
And it's in this Aatrox lane again with nerfed Ignite. The Ignite here does less damage. You wouldn't know it. Not that much damage necessarily, maybe 15, but 15 is enough, and it happens again, and the sinking feeling begins at 3 minutes 20.
And Fly really has been a weak part, and BDD has always been strong. Yes, KT have been floundering, but it hasn't been because of BDD. This guy is still a monster. Damn, already with the solo kill in what can be a really hard lane against the Lissandra.
And Lissandra starts this at over full health. He actually loses out on some efficiency from a corrupting potion charge. Gets snapped back in, the flash comes in, and Fly dies.
Yep. That's just a full combo and you're dead. And that's what happens if you disrespect.
Well, yeah! I'm actually clapping.
Yeah, you guys got a Papa clap, by the way, and a Papa clap is a very important thing to get. Papa doesn't clap about things all that often, but when he does,
said yay.
he did say yay, and it was adorable. If he claps, generally it's because something is very, very adorable.
Yay.
It was a bit sad at the same time.
I mean, Fly has had, next to Peanut, a really, really poor start to the season. And
yeah.
That's why we saw the Aurelion Soul Change and said, finally, a Fly buff. He really is a master of this champion. Can self-heal way more reliably now that you can activate that stun at a pretty low minimum distance. Predator
lightning rush on cooldown, and yeah, the Predator has been popped as Cuvee not even going to flash. The body slam's been held onto for so long, and he's just dead. No opportunity to flash whatsoever.
Outplayed, baby. Can't outplay the body slam if you never body slam. Runs in, gets the extra Predator damage on the first auto, boops him down, and very nicely done. The death confirmed on Cuvee early, and the sinking feeling with both soul lanes going down.
Oh, he ain't finished. Yeah, Snowflower's in here as well. He can get a flash taunt if he wants to. What is your strong side of the map, Fly? The answer is there isn't one.
I'm pretty excited about KT.
Oh, Papa Smithy, you went and you done did it, didn't you?
I'm not excited about the bot lane. It's 16 CS disadvantage.
No one is.
Watch Umti here. Cuve's like, I'm going to
Where's the body slam? Oh, it was called a slight directional change towards the top.
Well, to be fair, he was chilling smited also, so really wasn't much he could do there. Guys are forgetting the patch notes. The challenging smite got a pretty significant nerf on this patch. Previously, you just kind of took it on everyone, even if you want, say, an auto-attack-based champion, because the reveal was deceptively strong. Losing the reveal means you do get dodged if someone jukes into a brush, which happens a lot of the time when you're involving junglers. So because of that, no challenging smite, just a chilling smite. And a chilling reminder that Gen.G solo lanes have a lot to work on. When we had this in the Kesper Cup, the table setting was so easy. The top lane carries versus the bot lane carries, and the numbers do play into that and the gameplay as well.
Oh, that was a cool dodge. Stand on the wall. That was cool. It's like we were watching Smash Brothers and Lucario just dangling on the wall. I know you're not much of a Smash player, but someone, of course, got that one. Is Fly going to get knocked up? Okay. Lands all the damage as BDD. Looks like Fly was trying to bait, but Peanut didn't want a bar of it.
Who's the Griffin of the new Smash Brothers? They're a OP?
I mean, Piranha Plant crashes your game.
That's pretty strong.
So that seems pretty strong. That's about Griffin at the moment. It's a bad bug. Hopefully Nintendo can fix that one. LCK can't fix Griffin, though. They're too good. As our Peanut is here, lying in wait. Level 6 available for Umti, though. And no paranoia there for Peanut as BDD is going to find the knock-up. Infernal Chains comes in. Peanut's being ignited. Could be another one as the flash was very late. It held on to a lot of BDD's time. Does mean that his red buff is just taken and he has to go home.
Old teammates colliding there. BDD and Peanut, of course, a jungle mid duo of just international renown previous to MSI, and since that runners-up time, things change quickly. They find themselves with different battle lines. Flies against his old squad of KT Rolster as well, so a lot of moving chairs between these organizations. Life and Ruler walk up. Drake at about 1800.
Yep, Life actually saw BDD was there and said, no, I don't want this, but he has to have it, as now he's going to be taken down. The Thresh delivered towards the Aatrox. Paranoia for the follow-up here. Still 4 members of KT down, but they turn instantly. Peanut infernally chained and destroyed as he bit off way more than he could chew. World End was still available, Papa.
Why did he hold in? They must have known the cooldowns were largely up. Look at the flashes. Only Gragas is down. So peculiar from Peanut. He's been off a step this season so far. The communication has not been like it was in Kesper Cup, but that pretty abysmal decision-making there, and you'd want to be in the comms to understand why as a team they decided to pull the trigger.
Yeah, well, it might have been that they didn't decide as a team, and Peanut just decided to launch his way forward. We're going to see this one again. This special delivery onto Life was real nice. That's when the body slam actually came out.
Umti, mechanically, is going to be better than Score more often than not. That is where he shines. Looked
even
really
on
good
a Score champion.
Let's watch this play. Ruler comes in, not got the most mana, not got the ultimate. I mean, this turn on Peanut, who has no mana to do anything, instantly dies. I don't really have any analysis for why you would go in there, because clearly Gen.G seemed pretty confused about it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Ruler was there getting damage down to try and follow up as best he can, but when it's 2 versus 4, it's just nothing doing.
You know, he's tier Sheen at best at that moment. I didn't actually see the item breakpoint, so there's a better time, and now the sins of the top side are infecting the bottom side. The Vladimir has a kill and assist and is only 10 CS down. Now everything's just coming up KT Rolster.
Yeah, it's basically almost over on the bottom side of the map as well. I mean, Proto Belt now completed for Zenit, not even going for the Fiendish Codex beforehand. Doesn't need to because he could build that one outright. And 1-0-1 for the Vlad. He's ticking up towards that level 9 mark. Snowflower's level 6, Stand United available, and KT instantly have never anyone alone on this map.
CDR boots, an interesting choice, but I guess he's just worried about playmaking and not laning phase. At this point, just buy a cull and get it all over with. When it comes to respect for lane.
Oh dear, you got a Shen support buying cull? That ain't good. Synergizes with Relic Shield, I
Still
guess.
wouldn't be the biggest problem that Gen.G have this game.
Oh dear.
Things are definitely looking poor for them, and this is with Kingen and Umti in the roster. And
yeah,
I gotta admit, what is the story of LCK Spring? Get a lot of rookies and a lot of young talent in there, and while Umti doesn't fit that to a glove, younger players with the mechanics more often than not are just making the right decisions more than we can ever imagine.
And what has Umti always done, though? Umti has always been known for being proactive. Be that actually followed up by Jin when he was on the squad or not, he was definitely getting in there and making things happen. We had a lot of praises to sing for Umti as QB is going to spot him here around the Rift Herald.
Gotta be a bit careful here, Umti.
VODs busy trying to solo kill Fly again, so couldn't actually help him out. As Fly's underneath his turret, as he probably rightly should be against a 2-0-1 Aatrox.
It's a really good interview by Ashley Kung with Score, kind of trying to get
I was going to mention that.
Into the head of KT, and one of the points she brought up was, more of an impact on the side lanes, more of an impact on helping out Smeb, and also going to the bot lane, which had its own struggles and has been good through a bit of musical chairs. And while that's all well and good to talk about, as BDD wants to kill his old team.
Yeah, again, actually wants to find him for the first time here. Is the Infernal Chain going to be flashed on yet again? Fly doesn't take the claw because Stand United, as we mentioned before, is there. World Ender means that he is going to probably survive. Okay, gets on out as the World Ender. Couple of seconds, but they don't wait long enough as Cube jumps on into the backline. The Shen is going to be taken down. BDD is cancelled out. And the cannon gets 2 free kills.
KT Rolster a bit too bold, going a bit too early under turrets, and the stasis into the exhaust onto the cannon wasn't going to be enough. They're still taken down. KT Rolster playing with their food. Maybe they should wait out the meal before they make plays like that.
Yeah, got a little bit overexcited, and I saw that going over to KT, but they just couldn't get that final few hits of damage. BDD had it on cooldown, couldn't one combo the Nocturne, and that was all she wrote.
BDD going to style on his ultimate. He got the big wolf, so he felt pretty good about that. And he just keeps going, and then stasis a long time, 2.5 seconds, while Fly has everything up, and they're waiting on this. Snowflower trying to play make, and that was BDD being too bold. And watch this, instant exhaust on Cube. He's still strong enough. The damage will get bigger later, but that's a whoopsie from KT Rolster.
It is, and in a lane that was being weathered by Kingen, he's now going to struggle a heck of a lot because he's already had to flash very, very recently. I actually feel like that was not during that last fight, but not entirely sure.
Why I'm referencing that interview and why I want to talk a little bit is KT have been able to hit side lanes with BD solo killing the enemy mid laner, and that happened again early in this game. That's not reproducible against every mid laner getting solo kills.
Yeah.
So KT finding advantages without BDD, just flexing on an opponent, is still not something we've actually seen happen.
Well, at the moment, I mean, BDD was flexing, but he did fall down. And turret plates are going to fall in favor of Ruler on the bottom side. You can see Gen.G still have a gold lead. I mean, Kleptomancy going to be a big part of that. Ruler winning in farm, also a big part. And BDD, yes, he managed to get the solo kill, but the Lissandra is still ahead. 4 turret plates to 1 is basically the gold lead here for Gen.G, so good to see. Top side. Paranoia is going to come in. No flash for King and no way to get out. Will he have the shield in time? The answer is no. Terrify comes in and Peanut, first successful game.
Nice stuff there, Cube and Peanut showing synergy that's been sparing in previous matches. Look at the item breakpoint there. It's double magic pen already done on the cannon. That's a lane you like to gank if you are the Nocturne. Good placement there, and there is a Rift Herald to summon and some gold to be injected to bring this game back to almost parity. AT in the bot lane are doing better than expected. The Vladimir is not significantly behind, and Vladimir Shen don't deserve to get out of lane on paper this unscathed.
Exactly, and it was all part of those early skirmishes as Umti looking for Ruler. Body slam going to be used, was hunting for the flash Too much distance was provided as Ruler did manage to use the flash. 14 minutes means the turret plates are now down. True shot barrage onto Shelly, but she's continuing her onslaught of this lane, and KT want to let her. It's going to take a lot of damage down here as finally the Rift Herald falls, but that is just a hair's breadth away from death.
It is pretty irrelevant damage, probably for the next 10 minutes or so. It's hard to return to an inner turret bot lane as the red side team, especially when Baron does hit the Rift. Mid lane, Roam coming through from QV. He doesn't have ult.
Get some money from BDD with his Klepto. That's all he really wants.
So now feels like battle lines are drawn a bit. Feels like we have Investment Banker, Lissandra, Investment Banker, Urgot, both of them kind of behind at this point in the game, and then an Aatrox and a Kennen as kind of the other parts there. And Kennen with all the early burst, with no visit to a stasis effect just yet, will rip through a team fight. This Kennen is really powerful. 1,700 gold lead over his opponent. Sort of thing that can be wielded, and even a small gold lead in the mid lane because of the CS advantage for the Lissandra. So right now, short of Vladimir hitting multiple members of the enemy team, things definitely looking decent for the side of Gen.G.
And I'm pretty sure maybe a plate went down for Fly as well, which is what has contributed. I mean, you can see that turret is very, very low. When that actually took damage is the question, but I think it was before. A minute and a half ago, so a lot of turret plates going in favor of Fly at the same time. He takes his blue buff and holds onto it himself because Aatrox doesn't need it. Vladimir doesn't need it. He's going to have a great game on this. Gragas picking up blues left, right, and center.
Definitely had the skirmishing advantage. Outside of that last Nocturne ultimate, it's been a game run by KT Rolster. Let's see how they reset, because the honeymoon phase of the early game where they're just killing everyone across the map is now over, and it's much more about deep wards onto a Nocturne and setup around the AoE team fights they're all about. They have no siege in the team at all. And until Kennen can be answered in the side lane by two members, spoilers right now, definitely not, the game is largely about deep wards and choosing the right fights and the right time to pull the trigger.
Yeah. At the moment, Zedit also needs to prove to us that he can get team fighting Vladimir down as well, because the team fights for KT certainly are going to revolve around whether or not he can get a bunch of that AoE in there, followed up with by BDD. But Umti's special delivery system has passed the test already today. See whether he's going to be able to get fights started. This ARAM doesn't feel great if you're a KT fan, because horribly low on the range department.
But the enemy team, the same. So the other thing, yes, Ruler and Fly can clear in the mid lane while we're waiting, but it's just kind of a weird standstill in the game where Gen.G's waiting for this, and KT, Umti doesn't know.
Yeah, the flash forward from Fly wants to take it down, but that's a great stopwatch coming in from Umti. Can they save his life? The body slam gets in there, blocked by Peanut, as Umti's still trying to keep himself alive. QV doing so much work in the backline, but here comes Zenit, and Umti somehow still alive. BDD here a little bit late now as life goes into his stasis, and Kingen picks up that kill. It's a messy one, but ultimately relatively even.
Yeah, 2 for 2 there. Zenit actually dies with flash available and no real value out of his late entrance into the team fight, so a bit of a whoopsie on both sides. Man, was Umti living on a prayer at the start, only just kept up by a combat Shen ultimate. BDD?
BDD in trouble, just going to be taken down by Ruler. Too far forward with no world ender. That'll do it.
Disrespect is the word for those two. BDD face checks under turrets. This one under his allied turret, the other one under an enemy turret. That means we're 6-6 and nothing to split Gen.G. It looked like a KT runaway train, but the excitement, predictably for KT, is starting to dissipate.
You said it, Papa Smithy.
I think we could get some really Fiesta 5v5s, and I welcome that future.
Absolutely. All right, well, with the game this even, certainly one that Gen.G wants, because
Umti
they
is
can get it pretty slow.
Jin been guilty of not being able to translate an early lead in the mid game by face checking. It happens here, but he lives on a prayer. Shen ultimate in combat gets full value. The shielding now, of course, when you're on low health. You can turn around, bops Peanut. Zenit dives in, but he kind of just really doesn't mislay all of his abilities, doesn't get too much value at the end. Stasis required, a bit of cleanup possible. Definitely better execution available to KT, and that's confirmed when QV gets the stun onto BDD, and Ruler does the rest.
Yeah. Somehow that fight was actually won with the body slam being blocked by Peanut with a flash to try and keep Umti there. And then Peanut actually used his spell shield on the ultimate. It just did too much damage as Umti, Fly had to follow it because it was either BDD or Umti. Now can BDD actually find this one? The Ignite comes down, but he thought he was going to hit the Umbral Dash with the Q. Wasn't the case.
Didn't want to commit to a turret dive there despite being pretty healthy on both sides. Trying to make things happen where QV isn't, which right now might behoove the team. QV is actually building into potentially the really reliable engage choice here of a Spellbinder. When you see is Aether Wisp in the inventory, not too many other items. I guess you could look into Shirelia's, but whenever they introduced the mana regen into the item, the gold efficiency started to dissipate it, and Nocturne doesn't need any help to get into team fights. Usually Alessandra neither.
I mean, the only other option would be a Lichbane for some sweet Klepto synergy.
I mean, I'd be down to see it, but
that'd be funny. That'd
be a first time. I've seen the LeBlanc go into Lichbane in pro play. Famously, we had some Ahri with the Lichbane, but this would be a new one.
Not a lot of Lichbane champions remain, as a lot of people do like to build it on AP Gragas when he first came out, but now not so much the case. You can see Umti going towards his Zhonya's there.
Twisted Fate is sadly unsighted so far in LCK Spring 2019, maybe later. QV is behind enemy lines on his own side of the jungle, so it needs to be very respectful of all the people lying in wait.
And now Kingan's going to have a chance to go back, grab some items, set them up for a potential other dive, other fight.
This game is actually really complicated for KT to play out. We talked about where the game could be, which is 3 people hitting Kennen the side lane. If it's a 0-3 Kennen, feels like Kennen has nowhere to go. Kennen's strong enough at this point that actually side lanes with the Nocturne ult factored in might be stronger here. So hitting side lane's so risky that we're A-ramming.
A-ramming, but with QV moving over first. Kingan is topside with teleport available.
I defer to all my A-ram experts out there, but I'd definitely take Gen.G, a lot more range, and Ezreal is the god tier A-ram champ on the left side of the map.
Not to mention the fact that Kingan won't be able to get into a frontline position at all. No. With the teleport availability, yes, he can join a fight, but joining late as an Urgot is not what you want from him. Want to be righteous, glorying your way forward, but this is all working in favor of KT. The longer Gen.G don't make any moves. Heading on over to the Dragon to try and get at least something out of it.
But because you have carries competing for gold, it doesn't actually turn the gold as much as you want when you have 4 people sharing in mid lane.
Yeah.
On the side of KT, Drake control so far on the side of Gen.G is, well, Peanut's in trouble.
He is. Does, I believe, already have the GA, but has to choose an enemy target and doesn't want to go near any of them. There's so many wards on top of that lantern, you ain't taking that at all, and Life could not offer his namesake to his jungler, and KT will get another dragon.
Seems like communication around summoners was off. Peanut's flash about 25 seconds off cooldown. Needs to kite with the team, can't kite separately. With the TP, gonna just condemn him to death. Peanut goes down, and it's even worse than that. He loses his GA, which is a pretty big cost because he had mainlined it wanting to dive with the cannon later in the game, and now pretty much going to be condemned to death by Kingan more often than you might think.
Yeah, it feels like Peanut giveth, Peanut taketh away. Remember, it was him that was able to turn around that dive from KT's over-aggression, but just on a different page, Papa, you're exactly right.
He's alone going down, and it's not like Thresh was preemptively going there to throw him a lantern, so at the end of the day, the lantern comes late. It's after the respawn, and there's no getting to that lantern. 2 wards on it and some AoE damage, and he goes down.
Finally, it's an actual gold lead for KT Rolster. Gen.G had it for most of the early game despite all of the weirdness and shenanigans that were going on. And you were talking about Spellbinders. It is what QV is going to be building towards, but Zenit already has his, with most likely close to 32, 33 cooldown reduction. This Vladimir is getting to the point where he's well and truly online.
He's ready to engage, but it's hard to min-max your damage when you have no stasis effect outside of the Sanguine pool. So you might lead with pool and then mess up your RE. You want to hit 2 rounds of E, one before the Hemoplague, one after, to really just get deletion damage. So it's actually trickier to play this item timing than you might expect, even though it looks pretty fair. As will be Umti, I believe, claiming the Scuttle Crab.
Yep. He's going to be able to get it, and this control ward survives with 1 health bar. Pick up Barrage, and takes a hell of a lot of damage. Ruler is really starting to scale into this game. It is often what we forget about, because is often scaling in these games is Ruler, but 201 has the transformation, has his next tier stack in, and went the Trinity Force. This guy does a lot of damage.
Definitely when he has Hex Drinker and the Overshield completed on the Seraphs, Vladimir's ability to get to the backline goes down. It's a little bit different to how the Kai'Sa games have played out, where Kai'Sa can just stay out of threat and reposition. With Ezreal, he has both mobility and the Overshield stacking that is really difficult to reproduce with other champions, maybe Draven and his Bloodthirster thing.
Yep.
But for now, it still feels like KT reliably, if they can close the distance, we'll find team fights that are right for the pluck. But actually getting there for now is going to be frustrating. They're not actually impacting the side lanes as much as they want to. The Spellbinder is there for the cannon, and the TP usage here could be oh so pivotal, given that Cuvee can do his own Vladimir impressions at these item timing points.
And you just saw there how free Ruler is to just go aggressive, has the Lantern that can pick him back up, assuming life is in position. Hook going to land onto Umti here, but they're not going to go in on this full health Gragas at the moment.
Kingen?
Yeah, Kingen. Purging this Raptor camp, it has to flash very early as Peanut pops the ultimate. Hook lands as the barrel comes down, and Kingen, I don't know whether that was worth it for the stopwatch, but he does get out until he doesn't. True Shot Barrage going to finish off that kill, but it got close.
Stasis too late, and in the end was wasted. Gen.G pick up a kill, and KT's lane assignments here need a lot of help. This is a sort of macro call where KT have fallen apart, and do notice we see none of their recognized shot callers playing in this game. No Smeb, no Score, no Mata, of course, on KT Rolster anymore. So because of that, their lane assignment is Vlad, at best, halving CS against Raw. It's over 50% turret. They have no threat on the turret without diving. And the side lanes being a cannon they're not sure they can deal with, and an Urgot pushing in minions. So because of that, this lane assignment actually gets KT nothing. BDD has no objective to take on the top side, so he's just a passenger, while it ends up being a freebie, killing the Urgot.
Yeah, I'm just not entirely sure what Kingen was doing there. Like, he's getting a Raptor camp, doesn't even do that, and then dies on the opposite side of the map. There was even Control Ward vision available in that brush, not for him, but for his opponents. Just a positioning mistake there from Kingen cost him his life. Head towards the top side will be able to defend this inner turret. No one actually heading further forward, but this means that KT are not going to have that Baron control that they had before. Members of Gen.G had an opportunity to head over there. Not going to just yet. Cuvee still down on the bottom side of the map, shoving things forward, and as is Gen.G's way, they're slowly but surely moving as the clock goes up.
It's actually really hard and intricate for KT to move forward their position in the game. We already talked about how sieging in mid lane was looking very fruitless. Just the reality of Awesome Dudes. I think FLICKR found this out at Rift Rivals. They struggled really hard there to recreate their LCK success outside of a couple of games. The side lane is not 3 champions rotating through cannon. He's still so far ahead in this game that they can't match him in the side lane. And the late game team fights are usually the bread and butter of the attack damage carry team, which is Gen.G. So KT Rolster. I'm thinking of King's Own with BDD there.
Yeah,
KT
exactly.
Rolster is still a bit frustrated right now. They don't seem to know. They can't problem solve their way. They want to fight over an objective, but they don't have positioning on one. Their Baron speed is pretty slow, so it kind of has to be Drake. And Gen.G continue to clean out vision on the bot side and stagnate KT Rolster.
Yeah, they do have a lot of poke and then a lot of sort of non-committal CC that Life can throw out in the form of the hook. And then their flanking power is just so incredibly strong. I feel like this is a composition that does have a lot of different ways to win the game. KT has a lot of very strong champions, not necessarily gifted as many ways to win. So whether they can actually do it is the question. Kingen cycling his Ghost as they're going to head over to this Mountain Drake. BDD wants to jump on forward. World Ender comes down. A couple still in the pit as Cuvee throws out the Slicing Maelstrom. This might be the cannon ult that they wanted as we're down into the passive for BDD. They get one of them as Zenit joins the fight as Fly will be taken out eventually. Self-ult and Zonya's not enough. That is KT picking up 2, but the Mountain Drake, as well as, well, I mean, nothing else on the back end. Thought someone must have died, but didn't happen.
They're going to run at Baron here. It's the right call from KT. They get a fight they don't deserve. The question by the coach on the VOD is, what are we fighting for? Why is Cuvee initiating? We got the Drake. We had flashes to get out. They don't try to get out. KT get a fight they shouldn't have been able to set up. Another on the Baron, and what will Gen.G do?
Well, we'll see whether they can actually do anything here as Snowflower is just body blocking the Baron down extraordinarily low. No vision available. And not going to be able to do an aiming on this one. Ruler didn't have True Shot Barrage, and KT get a free Baron just given to them by Gen.G.
Watch the replay. They get the Drake. There's nothing to fight for. Get out of there. Double flash over it. Feels sucky to use 3 flashes. But Cuvee gets exhausted. And this KT comp that couldn't siege, that couldn't side lane with Shenol and get kills on Cannon because he was so far ahead, gets 2 kills purely because Gen.G got the bloodlust of some good moments. They go in, and Baron is a freebie on the backside.
Yep. Just not the mistakes that you want to see if you're a Gen.G fan. And all of a sudden, it's closer to 4,000 in this gold lead. Soon to be more. Baron power play begins to tick up. No outer turrets remain, only inner turrets are going to be taken here. And the siege is still difficult. We talk about teams that require a Baron buff in order to get a siege happening, but it's still pretty hard.
But let me describe something that's possible.
What's that?
BDD pushes in a lane where Kennen is, because he has Baron buff and forces Kennen to come in. Kennen can't push the waves, and Shen'o, with the World Ender, you can dive to Kennen. These are things that weren't possible. Their lane assignments with Baron up can't be BDD in Kennen's lane, because he's on the other side of the map. Now it doesn't matter, the Baron's down, and plays that were impossible for KT to pull off are now very possible. And that's why Cuvée suddenly is in defensive position.
Yeah, and this siege minion is now just beating down on this inner turret. The wave is a long way away, though, as BDD is just going to clear out the enemy jungle, and this is what happens. This is why this Baron power play continues to tick further forward. 1,500 is now that score line. Snowflower rotates over. BDD is going to join him. Doesn't actually have anything available to clear out the vision. So Gen.G know what's going on, but Claw of Doom used by Fly just to try and help get rid of this minion wave.
Just following a minion wave where they can, trying to get turret damage, chip damage where they can. Playing 3 lanes, certainly what you prefer, but your risk is 3 TPs up and the chance of an outnumbering. Doesn't matter how slippery Vlad, Gragas, and Shen can be. They play 2 lanes, the top 2. They roll down through mid, and Gen.G know one more poor engage, and the game is over, even though just 3 minutes ago it seemed very much in their grasp.
Yeah, exactly. They were one Kennen flank away from getting a Baron themselves, winning the game themselves. Just didn't happen. Fly taking a lot of damage here under the turret. That's actually a Hemo play coming out from Zenit. Doesn't want to commit. It's okay. Ruler just kills Snowflower out of nowhere.
Didn't see how the health bar started to go down, but the end of it, very trivial from Ruler. Gets the snipe there. It's going to slow things down. I think the Hemo plague was just zoning, so unsure. Had my eyes trained upon the turret and the Hemo plague. Snowflower just randomly dies. Things that happen when 8th team plays 9th team.
Yeah. Also, when Ruler has his Seraph's Embrace transform and more of Malmortius, the guy does a lot of damage.
That's what Snowflower here gets hooked.
Aha. Hook landed, and then he died.
Wasn't many abilities.
Turns out this support Shen, not all that durable. Got a bunch of items now, though. 0, 3, and 7 isn't the worst scoreline.
And the fun thing about support Shen's dying is we can always say the funny moment of, well, don't they hit the rift fast with their ultimate after they die?
Yeah, exactly. You can get back in and die even faster.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Squad goals for Snowflower this game.
If only he had taken Spellbook, then he could have, if it's on cooldown, teleported as well.
And this is what Gen.G can look at. It is the late game Ruler carry that happens every game, whatever champion he plays. Still never played an awesome dude. Still the guy who is the last of only the marksman. He almost has 6 items. He's got those double shields, and they're even better than we remember with the more Malmortius loaded in there.
He actually looks a bit weird with the free ass boots. I feel like he needs something a little bit more expensive there.
I'm really sad that Reddit thought it was aggressive when the person, because they were going to nerf the free ass boots to 12 minutes, and they called them free ass boots, and people, of course, not everyone watches competitive play and didn't know it's a Captain Flowers reference. He calls them free ass boots because they're free ass. You know, they're so free. Yeah. We would say free ass.
We'd say free ass. Yeah, they're free ass.
Free ass, mate. Well, the free ass boots are.
That's actually what I still he said when I heard that line.
No, he says free ass. They don't have the same expression. KT take down the Drake.
Another one.
We know that Ezreals have to be respected now after the Baron steal yesterday.
Aiming certainly pretty good at that. But didn't happen at the Baron, didn't happen at that Dragon. That's going to make it 4. Double Cloud, double Mountain. KT can get to stuff and kill it real fast. But we don't have any Infernal Drakes just yet, so that damage amplification not quite there in the team fights. The next Drake is going to be that Elder as well, so KT are the ones that need to be respected for that one, having picked up 4 in comparison to the one that Gen.G have been able to put together. That's a really cool hat, though, that Zenit has for himself. The Vladimir scaling is feeling a little bit like a dirty word, but is certainly something that has been very prevalent in a lot of our games so far.
I feel like we might be seeing final item builds for the last meaningful fight. Still no Zonias, so just full damage build. Coming through from the Vladimir. Let's go again to the reason why we knew this game would stall out after KT didn't have the right lane assignment. That was taking turrets and sieging really hard without a Baron. Now, Baron respawns in 30 seconds. Baron or no, I think KT are going to have to dive, and Ruler's item build is set up to try to succeed there. Here's the TP and the Nocturne ult.
Yeah, Paranoia just to avoid having any vision available, as Fly may have just done that slightly too early. But KT pretty good at reacting to baits. They've been very aggressive so far today. Wasn't the case then. It was looking for the flank, followed by King in. No Righteous Glories, no Hemo Plagues or anything like that just yet in KT. Play it slow.
And that was
3
a lot
seconds until the Baron.
I think it was a lot about TP denial with the Paranoia use there.
Yeah.
Didn't look like Nocturne was actually going to go in there. Zenit had already used his TP. King only gets his TP now.
TP denial as well as Stand United denial, I guess. You can stop Snowflower from being able to easily jump on the correct target.
Well, the reason why it was bold to take the Shen when they did. Here's KT, they're just trying to Rambo in.
Yeah, Infernal Chain's not going to pull him back, as the Claw is going to be good enough, as KT still just testing the waters.
KT will always have to peel. Their Baron speed is very slow, and there's no reason for Gen.G to allow them to stay in the pit without coming to check it. So because of that, the turn is always going to be respected. Zenit on the Baron, has leashed it. There's the confirmation, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Ezreal damage as well.
Some pretty cool Zenit healing as well from the Vladimir.
Re-engage.
Snowflower dives on forward. Don't know whether that's the engage they want, though, as Fly does go into stasis in the middle of a team fight. We've hit sepia mode.
That is a very pivotal time to call the pause. We get some very dramatic different angles here, and we can still hear the sound.
I've never seen a pause with a claw actually in midair.
It's actually very detailed.
Yeah.
You can never really appreciate spell detail because you're usually distracted by whether it's killing you or you're killing them.
I know, and the Frozen Tomb has a face. I didn't know the Frozen Tomb had a face.
What expression would you say the face was making?
Oopsies.
A whoopsie face. Okay.
That's an oopsies face.
Well, I'm assuming that some Teamfight Ultimate did not participate the way we would have expected. Otherwise, it's a very dramatic time for a pause.
Yeah. Looks to be on Umpty. Maybe it was a cast going the wrong... Oh, no, his mouse stopped working. I think that's a pretty good reason to pause the game.
Of all the times.
Yeah.
For mouse technology to not work. Allegedly. We don't have, of course, the refs giving us the full understanding of it. That is very awkward.
That is his claim thus far. We had some mouse claims yesterday, which is why I could imagine that you're a little bit cautious. Ghost having a few bugs with Callista, which is a bit of a problem. Actually saw a bit of that after the game. The Q was being a little bit confusing, not letting you do a little jump afterwards.
Well, if that is a confirmed bug, Chrono Break seems very likely on that one, Atlas, because...
Well, I mean, that was yesterday. This is today. If his mouse just stopped working and it was a peripheral issue, then, yeah, likely it is going to be something like a Chrono Break.
No information on that, guys. We'll give you real information when the powers that be relay it to us. Umti definitely with some hard breathing knows this is the pivotal moment in the game. So
yeah.
Very awkward time for the pause.
One team's going to win after this is what it feels like. That being said, if it is one of these chaotic fights where lots and lots of people die, could be a really big problem. This Gen.G fan in the audience got very excited. Peanut fan, surprised everyone. Peanut fan. Moving over to Gen.G. You can see Peanut on your screen right here. His mouse still works. Will they be able to actually find the team fight is the question, and that's really detailed KT Rolster.
He's happy with all 9 players on the roster. Only mid lane, lacking a substitute.
Yep. And I wouldn't need to put in a sub for B2D if I was making a team. To be perfectly honest, guy's pretty good. But,
going to see the replay of this now. Of course, Gragas, the champion we're inspecting. Let's see if we notice some problems. Oh yeah, that was bad. That is some mouse problems.
Yeah, that's...
it's confirmed.
That's he didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that was definitely the one when we rewatched the team fight and someone says, oh, check out Umti in the fight. And you're like, wait. Famously, this happened on a Monte Cristo VOD review we did of... It was an RNG game when Whoosh was playing AD carry, where Whoosh just made every wrong decision in a team fight. And, well, there definitely was a mouse issue there.
He wasn't so good at the beginning, was he? But then he actually got pretty good, did old Whoosh. Thought he redeemed himself eventually.
I like how we're so focused on the action, we missed Gragas drunk on the job.
Just straight up having a drink and then saying, you guys go ahead. I'm going to stay here.
Oh, yeah?
And then Snowflower, with his very interesting flash taunt hitting no one, was probably supposed to get some follow-up from his graggy friend. Didn't happen, though.
Oh, welcome to one of our Chinese fans coming over here. Welcome to LOL Park, and hoping to see a Peanut victory.
Well, an opportunity now, but we'll see whether we are going to be chrono breaking this one and taking it back to before the team fight with hopefully a new mouse for Umti. Having the mouse die. If he was one of these users of the wireless mice, Papa Smithy.
Who would do that?
I would.
Do you have a wireless mouse?
I do.
Oh my god.
I bought the...
We had so much inbuilt Synergy Atlas, and it's all gone now.
Well, no. Okay, so I was an absolute hater of the wireless mice.
I'm listening.
I was a big hater, but then the new Logitech one is actually really good. It's a really nice mouse.
You know, we've had a lot of trust falls in our casting over multiple titles. We did Apex together. We're here on League of Legends. We had a crunchy peanut butter trust fall where
we did.
Neither of us were smooth peanut butter people, and yet wireless mouse. I wouldn't have took you. Or taken
no,
you
I actually
for a wireless mouse.
To be perfectly honest, you can plug it in, and I don't play League of Legends with it wireless.
Okay, see, now we're getting
is
onto
that
the road.
Is that okay? Is that
it's
okay?
the road to recovery. I'm not ready.
But when I'm just like
the trust fall, like I didn't hit the ground, but I'm not that far off the ground.
All right. No, don't worry. I'll put the chair back up. Don't hang yourself just yet. We're fine. B2D on your screen, but it wasn't B2D one of the ones that does use the
I must admit,
mouse?
we got a confirmation, but I forget who.
Yeah, I could have sworn it was B2D, but I've been wrong before many times.
You bought a wireless mouse, so there you go.
Hey, I bought one earlier than that actually, and that was a very bad choice.
Well, at least you're up for second chances. I'll let you know after the series whether I am when it comes to friendship trust falls.
Oh, we could barely see whether that. Did anyone get confirmation of whether there's a cord there?
I can't tell.
I could see it. Yeah, no, there's a cord. There's a cord. Not a wireless mouse confirmed. Umti's fine. Now the question is, we don't actually have confirmation that we're going to get a chrono break here just yet.
It seems impossible that there won't be one.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. We're discussing it, but we don't have confirmation.
I have never seen a replay that was more clear than I'll just chill over here while you guys have the winning team fight.
Hey, maybe if it was one of our top teams.
too many times.
Maybe it was one of our top teams, but also a lot of the things that have happened in this game seem like you could just say, nah, my mouse broke, actually. That's why we dove Peanut.
It also had to be Gragas, only champion confirmed to play to work better drunk on the job. His tolerance is insane.
It'd be like if a guy playing Graves' computer caught on fire and his whole rig was smoking. Oh, perfect. I like it when at least it's the fitting players that do get the problems. That's not a happy-looking fly on your screen just there. He's had a rough series so far.
Rough season 2.
Yeah.
On Kesper Cup, his old standby is still working, but still he's seen dominated by the Zoe. That's a really big pick for him. And other games on the Galio, even those reliable ones, kind of fallen away. In the 2019 season, and a player without a substitute on the side of Gen.G.
Yeah.
Maybe that will change coming to the second round robin. In case you guys are wondering, no players can be added to rosters till the second round robin, and sounds like Chrono Break may not actually be coming in.
Yeah, because Umti was quite far away from the team fight, but I think I know why he was quite far away from the.
Let's not speculate. The refs have a lot of experience in this.
That's also true, and like Snowflower was a large distance away from it. It's not like Umti was on a champion like the Nocturne.
There's always a lot to talk about in these ones. We can only be the peanut gallery.
Yes, this is it's just going to be really hard to jump straight back into the very middle of a team fight. We were talking about this very recently, actually, that even when there were small skirmishes, it was going to be a difficult time to come back in from a pause. But now in the middle of a 5v5, not entirely sure, Papa. It's going to be tough for almost everyone.
Gen.G org in attendance, looking for a favorable result from this series. Only game number 1, guys, for joining us late 8 to 9. Pivotal team fight with a mouse malfunction coming through from Umti that we're still trying to get our heads around when it comes to what happens from here. Umti's eyes going everywhere except the camera.
Yeah, we have confirmation of the cord. Confirmation of the cord.
Getting closer. How many DPI is it?
Why are we zooming in on the mouse? It's like, this is the problem. I have found it.
What was the correct music track for the zoom in on the mouse? Was it Jaws theme? Was it?
No, I wanted it to be that amazing the home products thing because we're selling the mouse. Can we put that back on? This is sounding a bit ominous.
You know,
this
if this is our
music.
ad read, I think perhaps we might not be invited back because I don't know if we've sold this mouse.
Yeah,
we've sold it down the river.
No. It's Umpty that's not going to get invited back. He's the one that broke the mouse on broadcast. Come on. We didn't do it. We tried to sell it. We had the slow zoom and everything. Even requested the music, Papa Smithy.
Well, we have the slow pan around Lol Park. Looking around, we look about 90% full here. There is a couple of isolated seats around, but usually that just indicates people who couldn't make it down to the stadium.
Or chose the pause as a time to go to the bathroom, which is a pretty good idea, given the average length of our pauses has been relatively long.
Average length of a Gen.G vs KT series.
Yeah, I mean, this was looking to end after this team fight, so KT was like, no, must keep the stat. And in fact, the weird thing is I believe before this week, KT had the longest average game time.
I think it's been muddied. KT has seemed very indecisive, even with Smeb and Score in the lineup. Shot calling was not looking too clean, so it's not like we mentioned that there was no Smeb, no Mada, no Score in the lineup today for KT, and yet we weren't 100% clear that shot calling with them would pick up. There are some Gen.G fans in the audience holding up some of those cheerfuls.
Signs not big enough to cover their faces, unfortunately. So I had to use the hands. Didn't have the tech available. We see most of our fans have. Umpty just looking like he wants to get back into it. Hopefully with a mouse that works. And the whole KT Rolster squad have been, well, as we can see, pretty damn quiet. It's just so hard to stay coordinated as you have this brain disconnect.
And we'll let you guys know, and it'll probably be pretty visible. If any breaks are allowed, you can see the players aren't communicating right now, so
yeah,
we're just using our eyes as much as possible here to do pan around Lol Park.
Yep. So, Ruler fan next to the Peanut fan. Just everyone being a fan of these guys. And Gen.G got a lot of them in this audience right now. Peanut on your screen, as you can see, one of our most famous players here, but hasn't had the most prestigious season thus far. 2019, certainly if you want to provide yourself a ground level in which to improve from, improvement is a lot easier when you start at a point like this, but both of these teams need to start pretty damn soon if they want to get to these international events. MSI not going to have a lot of other recipients of that invite, and Griffin certainly have it locked down at the moment, but things can change, crazy things can happen, and you got to start somewhere with the victories.
Your season isn't over in week 3, but if you lose to your opponent today, someone who is in a similar struggle, who's only beaten Jin-Air for both Gen.G and KT, then it does feel like crawling yourself out, climbing up from that issue will be hard. Roach with the coaches there, but not the same story on the KT side.
Yep, the roaching booth. As he was having a bit of a grin there. Cheeky Roach.
Probably feels a bit hard done by to not be playing today, but I guess they are going through the rotation system.
Yep.
With Roach and Cuvée.
Actually had a pretty good series. The game that they won, Roach was pretty strong. Had the couple of the MVPs stolen away from him by others, but otherwise seemed okay, serviceable.
Still no updates, guys. We're about, I feel like, 10 minutes removed from what was ostensibly the winning team fight, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Did feel like the game was right up there, and Ruler, who we now go over, is pretty much full build and ready to pop off on the Ezreal.
That's what KT are going to be focusing on, trying to find him in these team fights. At the moment, we've got a Frozen Tomb paused on that Fly has used on himself, as he is relatively out of position. As to table set exactly where we are in the game. Gragas has not found his way into the fight yet, but has Flash and Body Slam available, so can get in there, and I think that the Explosive Cask is going to be very, very important. We're still discussing the Chrono Break. You can see Homin in there, trying to explain things to the KT staff, see whether everyone is going to be okay with thises and that's.
Most famous for doing translation with Shocks over the World Championships, but also involved in League Ops in the LCK, so that's why he's playing an active role, talking to coaching staff here to understand what's going to happen.
Currently doing a little bit of mentoring as well for one of our new producers that's going to be coming in. But no Chrono Break is going to be the confirmation. So KT are going to have to make do with Agragas being a little bit further away from the fight.
Hopefully we'll get some...
than he otherwise would be. The pause was pretty quick.
And hopefully we'll get some unpacking afterwards about the whys and why nots of corner breaks and things. But all we can do is be ready, Atlas, and hold on to you, because your play-by-play is going to have to come in quick. We're in the middle of...
exactly. And we talk about undulating energy levels and things like that. Where's the right place to come in as your energy?
I need to go from 0 to 11.
0 to 11?
Yeah, you need to be 11 here. Because this is probably the winning team fight. I guess we could all disengage. I don't think there's going to be any gentleman's agreement, though.
I wonder whether we're going to watch the countdown or not. Actually, give me a moment here.
Get ready, get ready.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if it's even coming up just yet. We haven't heard anything from our producer. Are we going to be okay, Papa?
You got a speaker in front of you, so you can't do the vocal warm-ups. It's going to be...
Yep.
This could be any update.
I almost did my impression of Caster John's warm-up.
Caster John has
got some
very impressive vocal warm-ups. If you joined us for Worlds, you would know.
Yep.
Go away, Timo.
Yeah, no. 0, 3, and 1.
Classic my Timo.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I was like, nah, I think Viper did better on the Timo, to be honest.
Oh boy.
All right.
Oh boy. I'll do the count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And flies in the back line. We've got Zenit. He gets hooked up, unfortunately, as that's a visual bug. Not another pause. Flash is traded here as BDD still has his. The Ignite didn't quite work out. We've got the disengage, and KT are going to be fine.
Damn, we lingered on the Vladimir ultimate, missing everyone. Zenit sold down the river. That's some big AoE ults down from the side of KT Rolster. Gen.G can push in the minion wave, and somehow action did not ride supreme.
Yeah, it dissipated. I have a feeling that our team fight would have looked a little bit different if we hadn't have had a 15-minute pause, but Gen.G go over to the Baron Pit. They don't start it. Other teams would have. The pings are going to come in. KT get a free reset. Now move back out onto the Rift.
All right, let's have a reset. Nope, no more of that. That was all sleight of hand. Never happened. Skip that VOD timer. We're back in the game.
6 items now sitting on Ruler as he goes back and completes his Blade of the Ruler.
You know when you're watching like CSI and always there's that curious gap in the security camera footage?
Oh, yeah.
Our gap was about 34:30 to 36. So VOD, people out there, LOL event VODs, just skip that part. Just jump straight in. You didn't miss anything. Weird that some cooldowns are not available.
Yeah, so strange.
Quirk of a spectator, don't worry about it.
Hemo Plague wasn't used, obviously, in that last fight. Now completely available here from Zenit. Thank goodness for 45% cooldown reduction.
And what does it all mean, is what we have to ask.
It means that KT going to rinse and repeat, looking to do basically the same thing again. Snowflower and King and just gatekeeping this one. And
Gen.G, hello?
Peanut, they do throw down the ward, but the Baron's just going to be taken.
There's 2 Mountain Drakes there, guys.
Yeah, that's it's just a Baron.
Golf clap coming out from the KT Faithful.
I mean, I'd be very confused. I'd be like, but what is the plan here?
Well, the plan might be Elder, because they are in position for Elder, but Elder against Zenit, whose Vladimir ultimate is available, and he's got a whole lot of stacks on his Spellbinder, gonna be hard to kite out. 6-item Vladimir, 6 items on the Ezreal. The Baron buff is usually the answerer here. Gen.G walk up. They did not feel strong enough to face check. So hard to get into the heads after what was a very awkward pause. But Baron now claimed for KT. Power play only now begins. Can Gen.G problem solve their way into QV, just popping 5 people?
But they've also messed up their side lanes as well. You can see definitely over Gen.G's side of the map need to be cleared out now as KT just pushing on in mid.
809 AP Vladimir.
Good lord. Okay, QV going to be spotted out here. That's important, although they trade for Umti's health bar. He's now down very, very low as they pick up the aggro on this Elder Drake. Now Peanut might actually get engaged on. True Shot Barrage is going to go completely wide as Gen.G not pulling the trigger. They've got so many engage tools, so many options, but not actually pulling it just yet. Fly, Claw of Doom available. KT staying as a unit as BDD now looking for the flank. Flanking Aatrox isn't necessarily what you're expecting as the hook does land on a Kingin, but in goes BDD. Paranoia comes down, but the explosion on the Thresh starts off the fight. QV so damn low, and the Purge looking to take him down the flash forward, but not going to quite find it just yet. Double kill comes in from Zenit, though, as Ruler versus the world. The Gen.G story is going to conclude. KT, they find the initiation and destroy the fight.
Kenna does it well. Vladimir does it better. 809 AP, wielded on the faces of Gen.G. They fall down. It was close. But no cigar, and that means that KT Rolster, after a weird and wonderful game, should end through bot, even though Peanut is valiantly trying to take down the mid lane minion wave.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this one before on his Elise. Now on the Nocturne, just farming when he can't do anything else. KT will win game number 1 against Gen.G. There are ups, there were downs, but in the end, KT come out victorious and they're still going to be happy.
If there's ups and downs, the roller coaster's the winner. KT Rolster pick it up in game number 1. Some pivotal problems, I think, for Gen.G. Some of their coordination issues with Peanut crop up again. And KT Rolster in that such awkward spot where we hit mid-game and suddenly we're like, wait, they can't siege, they can't side lane. They got gifted that Baron, the first Baron that won them the game, and the second one was bloodless as well because of where the map situation ended up. Didn't want to pull the paranoia trigger, and the Baron goes down. Umti and KT Rolster. Umti and Kingen come in, and they stick the landing. It was a tricky one. They didn't have siege. They had to find other ways. They just about do it, and KT Rolster take down an extended game 1.
And I'd like to see it again, because I'd actually really like to see that bottom lane try and go for it in a more even game, because we saw things went very right for KT at the beginning of that game, and they almost got a free pass. We saw that Vladimir was incredibly impactful in the late game, despite that one missing portion of time on the VOD. I don't know what quite happened in there, like I'm not entirely sure, but probably good things for Vladimir, I guess. But they were handed that lane. Next time around, Ruler might not be so generous as to, you know, have his Nocturne fly in and give them a kill.
Peanut, in this case. I think Ruler was kind of watching, being like,
well, I mean, Ruler was down there wanting to destroy them in lane, and then his Nocturne just zooms past and says, have my money! And that's not what you want.
You know, like, 1v9 is a really cruel thing to say, but so many games where Ruler's like, guys, I really tried.
Yeah.
And things
giving out the Teddy Award is not something that we normally have to do, because Teddy's normally the one taking it.
Yeah.
After the series against Griffin, feeling somewhat similar, although I guess that wasn't necessarily that kind of story.
Yeah.
Ruler is certainly writing his name on that award so
his
far.
Placements in the LCK, not going so good.
No. When does he get past 10? That's going to be soon. That's going to be soon.
He's going. He's waiting. He's waiting.
Yeah,
he would like to end his placements.
That Iron 4 is looking pretty likely based on his win rate, but thankfully started the season in the right league.
Yeah.
KT Rolster do come away with a victory in game number 1, but it wasn't without its flaws, and yeah, Teddy Ward definitely guaranteed going to Ruler.
And Cuvée had a very good early Kennen game.
Yeah,
this game could have been decided so early with everyone just laughing at Kennen and killing him in a side lane. Kennen had kill pressure in 1v1s that he almost never does. Because of some nice team fighting there from Cuvée, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. In the end, when they both pressed their R buttons, Vladimir predictably comes out ahead with the Baron buff, with the 6-item build. Still feels a bit unfulfilling. I still want to give Gen.G another go when it comes to game number 2, because game number 1 took some weird turns around the 30-minute mark, so it sounds like after the break, we'll give it another go.
Yeah, exactly right. So game 2 is right around the corner. Can this one be a little bit cleaner, and can KT get more solo kills? We'll find out after this.